While I sit around the house waiting for my shoulder to heal and spring to arrive, I have been taking stock of all the items I have carried with me during my various tours and adventures. I thought it would be interesting, and I hope helpful, to share the list of items or gear that I have found to be most useful or essential while traveling. Please notice that the title of this video includes the term modern. I point that out because in reality, if you're an old school guy, you don't need any of this stuff. You could just get on your bike and ride like Jim Bronson from the short-lived TV series from the late 60s. However, if you are like me, then you enjoy taking advantage of the tools which our modern world offers here in the 21st century. Of course, a comfortable and reliable motorcycle would be the most obvious choice for number one. But for this list, we are going to exclude the bike and focus on the gear that I've brought along. I have also excluded a good toolkit and first aid kit from this discussion because those are no-brainers. I present these items in no particular order, and you may notice that a theme might pop up that involves protecting yourself and your gear from the elements. Links to where you can find all of these items are included in the description of this video, as well as out on my website at livingofftheslab.com. Go up to the blog link in the main menu, where I have uploaded a text version that includes links to some of my previous videos I have done about these items. If you decided to purchase any of these items, please do so by using the provided affiliate links. We get a small commission on the sales, which go a long way to keep these videos coming. I do not recommend any products or retailers that I have not purchased from or have used the products personally. So number one, my waterproof riding gear. When setting out on a tour, I know that it is inevitable that I'm going to run into some kind of inclement weather. On my 60-day trip, the first 10 days were mostly rain-soaked. However, they were not unbearable due to my climb latitude jacket and pants, and of course, my waterproof riding gloves and boots. I know that good Gore-Tex line gear is expensive, but for me, it has been well worth the money. My climb gear has served me well in the rain, cold, and scorching heat. It even came out relatively unscathed from my recent off-road mishap with only minor scratches. I cannot say enough about how well my climb gear has performed over the years. In addition to the jacket and pants, I use Gore-Tex lined boots and gloves. I have tried some other so-called waterproof boots that turned out not to be so waterproof, and they made for a rather miserable few days while traveling. There are of course other waterproof materials like Dry Star from Alpine Stars, which I now have in my Tech 7 boots, that works very well. But be careful when choosing less expensive waterproofing materials. They do not always live up to their promise. Number two, waterproof bags. This is where you might start to notice a theme, and that keeping yourself and your belongings dry while on tour is a major concern. If your stuff gets wet, things can go downhill extremely quickly. So spending the extra money to make sure your bags are 100% waterproof is well worth the time and money. I know rain covers are usually included with every travel bag, but if you have to stop and put them on along with your rain gear, then you are much less likely to do it. For me, to keep things simple, I prefer to purchase waterproof bags, when possible, that do not require a separate cover. One of my favorites is the Dry Spec D38 from Twisted Throttle. I have had this bag for many years. I think I actually got it back in 2013, and it has been all over the country with me. It's been up to Alaska, Nova Scotia, and it has never leaked once and still functions like new. I also have a couple of Dry Spec D38 double-ended bags, as well as an SW Motec Dry Bag 600. The 600 or 60-liter bag is very useful for carrying all of my camping gear in one place. Number 3, dry sacks. So continuing with the theme, right along with waterproof bags, I use waterproof dry sacks. Even though my stuff is packed in a waterproof bag, I still go the extra mile and pack my clothing and other essentials in dry bags. It just adds an extra layer of protection. Waterproof stuff sacks come in a variety of sizes and colors, which helps to keep things organized. Number 4, a full face helmet. Now, I'm not listing this full face helmet here because I am an ATGAT proponent, which I am, but I am listing it here because a full face helmet has really made a difference for me in staying comfortable during my long tours. I started out touring with a half helmet because I thought they offered more ventilation and thus were more comfortable. I also thought I looked cool in it. However, after years of riding with a half helmet, I found my ears hurt at the end of a long day from the constant beating of the wind. And riding through rain or hail was just a nightmare. I finally said, "What the hell are you doing, Craig?" And I went out and I purchased a full face helmet. Now, riding in inclement weather is no big deal, especially when combined with my climb gear, and the helmet helps with wind noise. At least the right helmet does. I use a Shoei RF-1200, which is a relatively quiet helmet in its own right, but when combined with earplugs, it is quite peaceful. Which brings me to number 5, earplugs. I know this may seem like a trivial item, but on a long trip or even a long day in the saddle, the wind noise can literally wear you out and of course damage your hearing. Right now, I am using the Eargasm high fidelity earplugs, but my wife prefers a simple foam plug. Plugs like the Eargasm filter out the harmful levels of sound but allow the lower levels associated with conversation to come through. Foam plugs generally block everything. However, my wife tells me that she can hear our conversations via communicator just fine. And of course, they are much less expensive. I suggest you use the ones that you find to be most effective and most comfortable for you. So number 6, a hydration pack. I have done several videos on the importance of drinking water while riding, so it will be of no surprise to my subscribers that I add a hydration pack to this list. Of course, you can use a cup or bottle, but for me, the pack just makes staying hydrated so much easier. And if it's easy, then I'm more likely to keep up with it. So number 7, a communication system. Right? If you are traveling with friends, being able to communicate easily makes a huge difference. While on our trip to Alaska, Peter, Steven, and I were equipped with the PackTalk system from Cardo. The PackTalk units worked great the entire way in all kinds of weather and road conditions. Even if you are traveling by yourself, a good communication system can let you make phone calls while riding, you can hear your GPS instructions, or listen to music while at highway speeds. As far as I'm concerned, getting a good communication system is a worthwhile investment. Number 8, a GPS device. A GPS is an easy way to carry your routes along with you, especially if, like me, you generally plan your routes in advance. Learning to create routes and effectively use a GPS does take a bit of practice, but is well worth learning. I know there are a growing number of riders who rely on their phones for navigation, but for me, having a dedicated device is the best way to go. A motorcycle-specific GPS is generally waterproof, has a screen that is more readable in harsh sunlight, and is glove-friendly. A phone, on the other hand, is usually not waterproof, something I have learned the hard way. Of course, GPS devices are not perfect, and they do occasionally lead me astray. That's generally based on how well I have built the route. However, when all things are considered, I would rather travel with one than without one. Finally, number 9, a moto pump. Checking and maintaining your tire pressure while traveling is essential, and thus having a reliable pump is a must. I carry the Moto Pump brand from Moto Pumps and have found it to be very reliable, easy to use, and quick to inflate. The model I use has a built-in gauge, but unfortunately that has been discontinued and replaced with the AirShot that does not include a gauge. However, one can be easily attached during inflation. The new model is lighter, smaller, and can handle higher pressures. It's got me thinking maybe it's time for an upgrade. Please note that the same pump is sold under the Dynaplug brand. The moto pump is powered by your bike's electrical system. I hook it directly to the pigtail for my battery tender. While the pump only draws 5 amps, I suggest running the bike during inflation. At least that's what I always do. This pump has literally been a lifesaver. That's it for this video. If you have any other items that you think should be added to this list, well, let me know in the comments below. There's at least one thing that I can think of, and that is a good set of base layers. As I mentioned previously, if you do want to purchase these items, please do so by linking through our website to our great affiliates like motosport.com or twistedthrottle.com. Thanks guys, and ride safe out there.